just I will give some initial introduction, then you can take it from there, Jose. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Let me find the presentation.
I send you an email
Yeah, I got
yesterday.
it. Yeah, I have downloaded it actually.
Okay.
So okay, so let's just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
do.
can.
Okay, so guys, welcome to Surat MuleSoft Meetup 44, and the topic for today's meetup is Anypoint Flex Gateway Custom Policy with a Rust. So we have a special speaker, and he's also MuleSoft ambassador, Jose Ramon, basically. Jose, hopefully I pronounce your name properly.
Yes, it can be Jose Ramon, Jose. There are a lot of variations, but it's
It's
fine.
Jose Ramo, right?
Yes, that's the
Okay,
full name, but you can say Jose.
yeah, 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 that's fine. Jose Ramo, yeah, because in I think in Europe, J has been pronounced as a Y, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in Spain, no, is Jose, no, but I think that the first consonant is
Yeah,
not, is
because
not very common. It's not very easy
yeah,
to pronounce.
because when I was in Europe, I also faced similar issue. My name is Jitendra. They are calling me Yetendra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yose. Yeah. Thanks for clarification, Yose Ramo. Yeah. Then I will just start with safe harbor statement. So both speaker and organizer, the host organizing this meetup in the individual capacity only, and we are not representing any companies here. So this presentation is completely or strictly for the learning purpose. Like organizer and presenter doesn't hold that responsibility whether this same solution will work for your business requirement. This is completely for learning purpose and sharing the knowledge. Like it, the solution may be differ from business to business and requirement to requirement. And the presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. We are not going to promote anything basically, and we are not going to earn any out of this. It is just for the strictly for the learning purpose. Okay, housekeeping, as you know, the recording will be definitely uploaded to the YouTube or event page with less than 24 hours. Generally I don't take 24 hours, we do it quickly. So you can ask the question at any time. Like if you want to speak up, you can definitely like we have already on the presenter mode for everyone. You can definitely ask question at any time. And like if you don't want to speak up, you can just use the chat window basically. And finally, it's very important for us to get a feedback from you, because feedback help us to improve in the further session and for selecting the right topic in the future. And organizer myself, Jitendra Bafna and Nitish Jain. So I will just give a brief introduction about me. So I have overall 14 plus years of experience in the APIs and the integration space, and like I'm currently working as a senior solution architect 3 at a EPAM system, and I'm a delivery champion, go to market champion, and industry champion. I'm a MuleSoft ambassador, and currently I'm leading a 3 meetup group: Surat, Nasik, and the engineering student group. And I love to work on the platform, basically like setting up the platform runtime fabric, flex gateways, and cloud hub and custom roasted mule runtime basically. Yeah, also I love to work on integration part also, but I have done too much work on integration. That's why I like to work on platforms nowadays. Yeah, it is. Would you like to give an introduction about you?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Thanks, Jackie. So, hi all. Welcome to MuleSoft Surat Meetup 44. I'm Nitish and I'm all MuleSoft certified developer architect. I'm co-leading this group with Jitin Bapna, and I'm working for Accenture as application developer. Thanks.
Thanks, Nitish, for all your support for this Surat MuleSoft Meetup group. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now I will just give some introduction. Joe yours will give his introduction, but I will give some background over yours. So he's a MuleSoft ambassador, and last time he gave one session in the Surat, it was very good. We got a very good feedback about his session, and would like to thanks yours for taking this opportunity again, and to speak up in the Surat MuleSoft meetup. Now you can share your screen and you can take the session from here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Let me. But by the way, to all of you, I had just shared in the chat a couple of links to repositories in GitHub. So I encourage you to navigate there, no, and take a look there. Okay, that's essentially what we are going to follow during the presentation. So let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, well, yeah, thank you very much. As Jackie mentioned, no, I'm MuleSoft ambassador. I hold the three certifications, although I'm planning also to get the developer level 2. No, I already studying for that. And I also get the delivery champion and the go-to-market champion. Currently, I'm working for Cognizant, okay, and well, doing essentially integration projects, MuleSoft projects, etc. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Flex Gateway, but we are going to focus on custom policies. I know that in the last 1 month, MuleSoft and also the community has been very active talking about universal API management and about Flex Gateway. But in this case, I would like to explain more in detail, not only how Flex Gateway works, but also a bit more of detail, no, about how to write a custom policy, for example, to check a header or to max sensitive information in the payload. Okay. The idea is I'm going to start just giving you a couple of explanations about Flex Gateway and the architecture of the custom policies, but the rest of the session is going to be a demonstration taking the source code of a couple of policies, the same policies that I had just copied in the chat, and also how to deploy those policies to a living, to a Flex Gateway that is up and running, and essentially, a demonstration about how those policies are working. Okay. So first, Flex Gateway, although I'm totally sure that all of you have already a good context about what's Flex Gateway, but just to give you a couple of ideas. The idea is that, well, this, as you know, MuleSoft has been providing not only an API gateway, but also a full integration runtime, no? But with Flex Gateway, the idea is to provide a container, a like server that is able to protect APIs, but without, I would say, all the complexity, of the traditional Java runtime. Okay, so this new gateway is very fast, and you can, and it's also integrated with the DevOps and CI/CD tools of MuleSoft. The idea is that this Flex Gateway can be deployed everywhere. No, there is a lot of combinations. We can deploy the gateway as an standalone Linux process inside a Kubernetes cluster or a separate Docker. No, so it's not like the traditional runtime of MuleSoft. No, that most of you were using that runtime inside Cloud Hub or in Runtime Fabric. No, in this case, this gateway is designed to be deployed everywhere, and also as this has a very small footprint of memory, it can be deployed, for example, near your microservices, or as a sidecar. No? Okay, so today, I like to explain this because probably there is a lot of confusion today, because right now there are 3 different MuleSoft gateways, So maybe not, when we are referring to the MuleSoft gateway, it can be a bit of confusion about which one we are referring to, on the left is, you can see the new Flex Gateway, that is based basically in Envoy, So this is the gateway, that we are going to explain today. But for example, in the middle, you can see the traditional Mule gateway in Java, and probably some of you know that there are 2 ways, to use this runtime. You can use this runtime to be able not only to protect APIs, but also to implement all kind of orchestrations, integrations, and connectors. But there is also the possibility to use the runtime, yes, as a Mule gateway. So all you have to do is to select which is the backend URL that you want to protect, And you can use this Java gateway, to apply policies. And there is another one that was introduced by MuleSoft around 2-3 years ago. That is the Anypoint service mesh. And in this case, this gateway is running on top or in parallel with Istio. And this other gateway is more focused on applying security policies, but inside Kubernetes cluster. So the idea with this gateway is to apply, for example, a policy to a pod or to a container running in Kubernetes. So those are today, the three gateways that MuleSoft is offering. If we try to compare the traditional MuleSoft runtime with Flex Gateway, maybe as I'm putting there in the picture it's like trying to compare Apple with Orange, because it's not exactly the same. There is a lot of differences. For example, traditionally the MuleSoft runtime has been licensed around the concept of beacon. So the more APIs or Mule applications that you deploy, the fewer beacons that you get available. So essentially, there is a relationship in the traditional Java runtime between the number of beacons, that's your license, and the number of applications that you can deploy. In the case of Flex Gateway, it's totally different. You can take a single Flex Gateway and deploy there hundreds of APIs, and there is no restrictions. The only thing that MuleSoft is going to control is the number of API calls, the number of API requests, but not the number of APIs. And this can be quite convenient because there is a lot of customers that maybe they're interested in protecting hundreds of APIs, but maybe those APIs are not going to have a very big, a very high traffic. So using Flex Gateway for that can be very, very interesting. Another difference is that typically, whenever we are deploying a Mule application or a Mule API, we are usually taking a container only for that API. In the case of Flex Gateway, that's totally different. With the same container, we can host lots of different APIs. Mule has hundreds of connectors. The Java runtime is able to connect to SAP, to FTP servers, whatever. In the case of Flex Gateway, it just support one protocol, that is HTTP or HTTPS. So, for example, you're not going to be able to create an API in Flex Gateway that connects, for example, with SAP using iDocs or BAPIs or whatever. You can only use Flex Gateway to connect to a backend that is already exposing HTTP traffic, for example, Spring Boot microservices or AWS Lambdas, that have enabled the HTTP connector. This can be a problem, but the reality is that today, 2022, most of the major software vendors are already exposing HTTP APIs. So maybe that's not a big issue. You cannot do transformation or proprietary connections to backends. If you want to do such kind of transformation, as we're going to see in this meetup, you need to write a policy. Okay, but there is not like a MuleSoft, for example, a message processor, like DataWit that you can drag in a policy, in an API. Sorry, it's totally different. Most of the existing policies for the traditional MuleSoft Java runtime are there. Has been migrated or ported to Flex, but not all of them. For example, as of today, the IDP integration policies, for example, Okta, or pfederate, they are not yet available in Flex. And one of the biggest difference, and this is what we are going to see today in this meetup, is how to write policies. Okay, in the case of traditional Java runtime, you know that the policies were written using flows, and in the case of Flex Gateway, this is totally different, because we are going to use different programming languages, for example, Rust. Okay. And as I said before, no, one of the best features of Flex Gateway is that it can be deployed everywhere. No? So as you can see on the right side, there is a lot of deployment patterns. No, we can have the Flex Gateway, for example, started very near of the, for example, of the Java microservices, that it is protecting, or it can be running inside Kubernetes or in a separate Linux box. Okay. In this session, we are going to use use a Flex Gateway that is running in Docker, and this Docker is running inside an AWS EC2 Linux box. Okay. And just a final comment on of Flex Gateway. As it's happened with the traditional Java runtime, is fully integrated with the control plane. So as when we bring up or spin up a Flex Gateway, we will see that integrated with the control plane. So, for example, by clicking in the control plane, for example, in the runtime manager or the API manager, we are going to see reflected this container. No? So that's one possibility, but another option is to have the Flex Gateway in a separate, or a standalone or isolated mode, that is the local mode, in which it's not interacting with the control plane. No? In this case, instead of applying policies by using the control plane, as we are going to see in this session, in the local mode, the idea is to apply those policies by writing YAML code. Okay, so this is about Flex Gateway. Okay, and now we are going to focus on the custom policies. Okay, so first I'm going to start just giving some quick explanations. Okay, and then the rest of the meetup is going to be focused on how to compile these policies. Okay. So, as I said before, Anypoint Flex Gateway is running on top of Envoy. Okay, so I recommend you to start getting familiar with Envoy. I think that is a very interesting API gateway. It's very fast, because it's written in C++, and as all other gateways, it has the ability to be extended. No? In the terminology of Envoy, we are not referring to policies, we are referring as filters, okay? But essentially it's the same concept that we have with the traditional MuleSoft Java runtime. No? We can define several policies or filters, and the idea is that there is a chain of filters, and every filter can decide if it wants to modify the request headers, or it wants to modify, for example, the request body, or it can let the backend or other filters execute and modify the response headers or the response body. Okay? In this demo, we're going to see a couple of filters. The first one is going to intercept the request parameters, and is going to decide whether or not continue with the flow of the execution. And the second filter is going to modify the response body. Okay. So these filters can be written in C++, in Lua, or in general in any language that is capable to be compiled on WebAssembly. Okay. One of them is Rust. Okay. So if you have any prior knowledge of Rust, that's going to be very, very interesting, because you will be able to write custom policies for Flex Gateway. So what's this of WebAssembly? So WebAssembly, and it's also known with the acronym of WASM, okay, is essentially a binary instruction format, okay, that essentially is going to be running in a virtual machine, okay. So the idea is that it's very similar to what we have been doing with Java in the last 20 years, that is essentially write code in a programming language, but get that interpreted and compiled in a virtual machine. This was introduced or announced in 2015, and the first release was 5 years ago. And although initially it was very associated with web applications, no, specifically for browsers, it's happening the same that that occurred with JavaScript. That at the beginning was very oriented to to the front end, but JavaScript with Node.js quickly move in the backend. So with WebAssembly, it's happening the same. The first version was very oriented to browsers, but now it's possible to write server applications. And one of the best examples of a server application written in WebAssembly is precisely the custom policies that we are going to write for Anypoint Flex Gateway. It's the same that happened with the JVM or Java. It supports a lot of programming languages, more than 20, and one of them is Rust. Compared with another containers like Docker, for example, probably WebAssembly provides a higher level of abstraction, and it can deploy code applications, applications instantly. And in theory, it consumes less memory than other containers. So this is an interesting thing to learn. Maybe in this context of Anypoint Flex Gateway, but this is a skill that will be useful for you in other areas and not only in MuleSoft. So the idea with the Flex custom policies essentially is to write a filter, an envoy filter, using WebAssembly as the binary format. The idea is to write these filters, and they can intercept, for example, HTTP traffic. There is a very interesting framework that I recommend you to understand, that is the proxy WebAssembly. And this is essentially an SDK that supports a lot of programming languages, for example, Go, but it's also supporting Rust. That is what we're going to use today. So as you can see, for example, in this part, I'm going to do it a bit bigger. Sorry. Wait a minute. Okay. So there are several methods that you can extend in a Flex Gateway filter. So today, essentially, what we are going to do is to intercept, for example, the headers, and also the request body. So this is what we are going to do today in the demo. Okay, so this is it's a generic proxy, that can be used, to create these envoy filters or these Anypoint and gateway policies. This is an example of one of the policies that we are going to see today. So in this case, this is and by the way, this one is also documented in the MuleSoft document portal. So essentially, this policy is just intercepting the request headers, okay? And what it's doing is to check if there is a specific header with this name, that it's X custom auth, okay? And then it's going to check if that header contains the same value that is defined in the policy or in API manager. So in that case, if the value is the same, it will allow the traffic, and if not, it is going to produce a 401 error. So this is one of the samples, and we are going to see another example that is a custom policy that is capable of doing a very basic data masking. So in this case, we are going to let the application or the backend to be executed, the API, but we are going to intercept the response body. So essentially, we are going to read the response body, and we are going to apply a transformation using this function. This function essentially is using the JSON engine of Rust, that is Surly, okay, and it's going to just read the body payload in JSON format, and it's going to check if there is a specific field, and if that's the case, it's going to max the value, okay, and generate again the same JSON. No? So this is what we're going to see in the demo. Okay. Also, in the demo, we are going to see how to create a Rust development environment. No? You can use your laptop. No, you want to be able to compile Rust code, but you can use also, for example, AWS EC2 server, no, to temporarily have a development environment there. No? So we need to download Rust. Okay. As Rust is also is creating a compiled binary, we need to install the build essentials, that is essentially the C++, the linker, whatever. Then we are going to configure Rust. We can either create a new policy or download an example. And Rust is capable of generating binary format, not directly in Linux, but in this case, we are going to instruct the compiler to generate with assembly code. No? We are going to compile that using Cargo, that is very similar to Maven in Java. And there is an optional step that is to reduce the size of the WebAssembly file, no? Using an utility that is capable, for example, of taking a binary of 2 megabytes and reduce it, for example, to 200 kilobytes, more or less. Okay, but this is just an optional step. Once that we had created the binary file, no, we are going to deploy as a policy. No? So there are essentially two steps. No? First is to upload the schema and the definition of the policy, and then the second step is to upload the implementation and the binary file that we have generated with Rest compiler. No? And then it's just to publish it in Exchange. No? So it will be accessible in API Manager. Okay. So this is what we are going to see. Okay, in the demo. I don't know if there is any question so far. Okay.
We are good, Jose, for now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first thing is we are going to the first thing that we are going to do is to bring out a new Flex gateway. Okay, that's going to be a very easy step. Okay, so this is my AWS console. Okay. And here I have a couple of EC2 servers. No, and for example, we are going to bring out this one. We are going to bring out this one that is going to contain the Anypoint Flex gateway. Okay, so let me connect to this one. Okay. I don't know if I'm sharing. Can you see the? Yeah. Sorry, I was asking if you can see the Linux terminal, but yeah. Okay. So to create a new Flex gateway, okay. As you know, we need to go to the runtime manager. Okay. So let me load that. Wait a minute. Okay, so we can add a new Flex gateway by clicking here, and as I said before, there are a lot of choices about how to create a new Flex gateway, like a Linux binary, Docker, or Kubernetes. So in this case, we are going to use Docker. Okay. So the first instruction that we need to execute, okay, is this one. No? So, okay. here we are downloading the image, no, of Flex Gateway, okay? And then essentially we need to execute a registration instruction, okay? That is this one, okay? But for this one, we need to do a couple of modifications, okay? So let me use a test editor, okay, to modify that. No? Essentially, what we have to do is to change, no, or to define which is going to be the gateway name. No? So this is a business group of sales. No, we are going to say that this is the Flex gateway for sales. Okay. So essentially, this instruction is going to generate. I'm going to show you. It's going to generate in this folder 3 files, no, that are essentially, no, the certificate that is going to use Flex gateway. No? So you can see it here. Okay. Okay. And the next instruction that we need to execute is this one. Okay. And in this case also we need to do some editing. No? So I'm going to copy this notepad. Okay. And we need to specify here a couple of parameters. No, the first one, no, is where is the files that we had generated before, and the second one is which is the UID of these certificates. So let me copy that information. And I'm going to edit that in this instruction. No? So first, I'm going to execute this with sudo. This is the folder that I'm using, not to the configuration is there. And this is the ID. All the 3 files share the same ID. Okay, so I just need to copy one of them, and I'm going to apply it here. Okay, so that's it. No, by executing this operation, we are going to have Flex Gateway running in this Linux box. Okay, so let me execute this. And this is essentially, the log of Flex Gateway. One thing that I have found that could be an improvement is to add, the date and the time, because sometimes, it's convenient to know when happens something, and as you can see here in this log, there is only the information, but not the date and the time. Okay, so after executing this operation, this Flex Gateway is here, okay? And the next step is to add an API there. No? So I'm going to define a new REST API, okay, using a change, okay. And in this case, what we are going to do is to use the classical Star Wars API. No? So this is the Star Wars API, and it's a REST API, and I'm going to upload the OpenAPI specification file, which is in my local laptop. Okay. So this one. And this will publish in Exchange this Star Wars API. Okay, just a couple of seconds. Okay, and this this API has different endpoints. All of them are related about the Star Wars movies. With the different films, the people that appears in the movies, the planets, the vehicles, whatever. Okay, so let's apply this API in Flex Gateway. So to do it, we have to go back to a runtime manager, and we are going to deploy this API inside this Flex Gateway. Okay. So clicking in APIs, we are going to add this Star Wars API here. So we just select the gateway that we have at the moment. We select the only API that we have now, that is the Star Wars API. Okay, and we can let these parameters by default. No? As you can imagine, no, this is the real backend of this API. No? So, sorry, and there is another thing just for your information. No, this is going to be running in the port 8081. No? So let's confirm. Okay, and if we come back to Docker, you will see after some seconds, no, that this API is being deployed to Envoy, no, to Flex Gateway, no. Okay, so that's it. Now we have this API deployed here, and we can try to invoke it, no. So let's go to EC2 just to find which is the server name, no, that we are using. I need this one, okay. And let's try to do a call to this API. No? This API obviously is totally unprotected. No? We have not applied yet any policy. No? So let's use hostwoman or hotspot. Okay. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to do, because this is from previous testing, no? I'm going to replace here the new server name, okay, this one. And in the headers, I'm going to let the headers totally empty, no? Okay, so this is the URL of the gateway. I'm going to try to make a call, okay? And as you can see, no, this Flex gateway is working, no, and is forwarding the request to the real Star Wars backend. No? So we can play with these parameters, no. For example, here we can see the list of all the people that ever appear in any movie of Star Wars, no. We can see, for example, I don't know, this field, no, in which Luke Skywalker appear, no. For example, this one. Sorry. I think that is either films or maybe I didn't copy that properly. No, I think that is films. Sorry. For example, the number 6. Yeah, it's working fine. No? Okay, so this is it. No? And now let's start with the custom policies. No, so for the custom policies, the very first thing that we need is to generate a development environment. No? So in this case, I'm going to use this Linux box as my development environment. No, so let me connect to this Linux box. And essentially, I'm going to follow the same steps that are in the link that I sent you before. No, that is here in this GitHub repository. No, I had just copied in the chat. No, the two policies. No, that we are going to use. No. This one that essentially is checking a header, no, and this one that is the data masking, no. So, for example, let's go with this first one, no. Okay, and here in the README file, you will find there all the details, no, about how to set up this Rust development environment. No? So the first thing that we need to do is to install Rust. No, so this is the box that we are going to use as development environment. No. So the first thing is to download and install Rust here, okay, by using this instruction. Okay, I'm going to use the default. Okay, And while this is working, the next step that we need to do is to install the build essentials. No, that is basically the C++ compiler, no, and the linker. No? So let's update the application list. Okay, and now let's install the compiling and the building tools. Okay, this is important because Rust needs all these libraries, all these C++, the GCC, whatever, to compile and generate the binaries. And now we are going to continue with the configuration of Rust by using these 3 instructions. Okay. We are going to install the stable version of Rust. You only have to execute these steps the first time that you are creating a development environment. Once that you have done this, you can compile as many Rust applications as you wish. Okay, and the last step. Okay, so now we have a Rust development environment, and the next thing is to take this code that is included in this repository. I'm going to very quickly describe what you are going to find in this repository. This file, for example, is very similar to the classical in Java, to the pond.xml, because this describes, I'm going to make it a bit bigger, essentially, which is going to be the package that we are going to generate, the version, and also which are the dependencies. This is, if you recall, this is the proxy WebAssembly that I described previously, and essentially what we are going to do with the code is to extend this proxy. This is the JSON engine of the Rust programming languages, and this is just a normal log, very similar to Java, to Java logger, the log4j, sorry. Okay, so this is the file that contains the dependencies. Okay, the source code is in this folder. Is just one file. Okay, and if you are curious, this is what it's like, to program in Rust, So essentially, we just declare which are the dependencies that we have, that are aligned with the information in the cargo file. This is the main point, okay, the typical main of the application, okay, and there are like 2 different points or 2 different areas in a Rust policy, One is the configuration, and the second one is the execution of the proxy itself, So for the configuration, it's in this part, okay. So the idea is that, as you are going to see later, we can configure the Rust policy using the normal API manager interface. So we can define which are the parameters of this policy, and those parameters are going to be sent to the policy using JSON. So the idea is that we can simplify the access to that JSON parameters in Rust by creating this kind of helper tools, helper classes. So essentially, we define a class that is the configuration of the policy, and this one contains just an attribute that is the secret value, that is the parameter that we are going to check. So this class is used to read the configuration from MuleSoft API Manager. Okay, so it's important to remember that MuleSoft API Manager is going to send always the configuration of this policy using JSON. Okay, so we need to read that JSON, okay, to parse the JSON, And in this case, what we're going to do is to generate automatically this class and this content, this attribute from the JSON of the configuration of the API manager. Okay, so that's it, So this part is only used to read that configuration from the API manager, okay? And this is the filter, no? So in any filter of Envoy, or in this case, Anypoint Flex Gateway, we can use typically 4 operations, no? One is to intercept the request headers, okay? Another one is to intercept the request body. And another 2 is to let the policy or the backend execute and intercept the response headers or the response body, okay? So in this case, we are not doing anything with these 3 operations. We are just doing a simple log, okay? And in the case of this other endpoint, no, or this other method, what we are doing is to read the request headers, okay? And we are going to check if in the different request header, there is a specific header that has this name, okay? And then we are going to validate if the content of that header is the same secret, okay, that we have read from the policy of API manager, no? I mean, we are comparing with this value, okay? So if the values are exactly the same, we are going to allow the backend to be executed, and if not, we are going to block the execution, and we are going to send a new, in this case, an error message code, no, that is a 401, okay? So this is what we are doing in this policy, okay? More files that are interesting is the 3 files that are used to apply this policy in API manager, no? So one of them is the schema, where we are enumerating which are the parameters of this policy. In this case, we only have one parameter, no, that is the secret value, okay, is required and also is sensitive, okay? So that's it. And there are a couple of more files, that is the definition and the implementation, okay? You need to be very careful with this because these files are very simple, but they had to use the Linux init line and not the Windows init line, because if you try to upload these files with the Windows init line, it can crash in the change, no? So this is essentially, no, the definition, okay, in which we explain which is this policy about, and there is another file that is the implementation, okay? In this case, we are saying that the technology is not the normal Java, no, or the normal flows for the Java runtime. In this case, is Flex Gateway. Okay, so this is the content of this repo, no? So let's go back to this Linux box, okay? I think that it got disconnected, so let me restart again. Just a second.
Jose, we have a question from Karthik.
Yeah, sure.
Karthik, can you please ask?
Hi, Os.
Hi.
You mentioned API manager while explaining the policy code. I did not understand why API manager came into the picture here.
Okay, yeah, it comes because the Rust is like every other policy that you're going to apply to an API. No, you need to use the API manager. Okay, and there is a section here that is the list of policies. Okay, so by default, the policies that are coming with Flex Gateway are these ones. Okay, but we are going to add new custom policies, okay? So we need this integration with the API manager, so the API manager will know that there is a new policy that you can apply, okay? So that's essentially what we are doing by using these files, no? For example, in the definition, as soon as we deploy this API, you are going to see that in the API manager, it's going to appear a new policy that is the custom auth header, no? That is not there yet. Okay, so
like any other custom policy, it should be in API manager first.
Yes, okay, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, thanks. You have to apply in a change, and then it will be available in the API manager. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is the Linux box where I had the Rust development environment. So let me continue with the next steps that are essentially to use Git to download the code. No? okay, to download this repository. Okay. And these are essentially the same files that we had seen before, no? Including, for example, no, the Rust policy, the Rust policy that we have seen before, no? This one. Okay. Okay. So we are going to say in Rust to use WebAssembly as output format. Okay. Because if we don't do that, it will generate normal Linux binary. Okay. And this is the equivalent of Maven. No? So this is the tool that we're going to use to download all the different dependencies, okay, and compile the policy, okay. So this is it. No? I'm going also to download in my local Windows laptop the same code. Okay, so I'm going to download as a zip file. Okay, as you can see here, no, cargo is still compiling the code. Okay, this is the content of the repository. Just a second. Okay. I'm going to extract this repo. Okay. And as you can see here, no, the compilation of the policy is went successfully. No, so let's continue. Okay, so essentially, let me show you, what is the what has the compiler generated. No, so here in target, okay, in this folder, in the release folder, okay, this is the WebAssembly file that we had just generated. Okay, so that's it. And I'm going to do the same with the other policy. Okay, this policy is around the validating that the custom header is there. Okay, but I have a second policy here, and this other second policy is responsible of doing some kind of data masking. No, I'm going to show you very quickly the code. Okay, so in this case, this policy follows exactly the same format. No, it has all the imports, the main endpoint. In the bottom, it has the same classes that are used to read the configuration from MuleSoft. Okay, and the only difference is that instead of a secret field, here we have a field name. Okay, because this policy, the idea is that it will read in a JSON payload the fields that match this name, and we'll try to max those fields, no, because maybe they are sensitive, no. So this is the code of the policy, no. Here we have the same 4 endpoints than before, no. In this case, the request header. In this case, we are not doing anything in the request header. Also, for the request body, we are not doing anything else, no. And the only thing that we are doing is modifying the response body, no. So what we are doing is that we are reading the response body from the backend, in this case from the Star Wars API, no, and essentially we are converting to a string, and we are doing a small transformation in that body, no, using this function. Okay, and this function essentially is using the JSON engine of Rust, okay, to just read the JSON from the string, and it's going to check if there is a field that matches the same name that is in the configuration of the API manager. And if that's the case, what it's going to do is to replace his value, okay, and it's going to max the content, okay. So this is essentially this second policy, So we are going to also to compile this policy, okay, following the same operation that we did before, okay, here. However, as we have already set up Rust, okay, we can just skip these steps, So we are going directly to the to the clone of the repo, okay, by doing this one. Okay. So now we have the two repos here, okay. We're going to go to the second one, okay. And essentially we are going to say Rust again to use WebAssembly as the default compilation format. And again, we are going to compile also this policy, okay, using Cargo. Okay, this is as you can see, we are doing essentially the same steps that we did with the other policy. Okay. While this is working, let me also download this code to my laptop. Okay. Okay. This is still compiling. Okay, it's finished, and I'm going also to open this repo, and I'm going to expand that in my local laptop. Okay, so here we have essentially the repos cloned in my laptop and also in Linux. Obviously, another alternative could, and I think that somebody has the microphone open. So the second alternative is to download also the Rust. Sorry guys. Somebody has
Hello?
the
Hello, somebody like on their microphone, please close, like stop that because it is getting distribution for like yours.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So let's continue. So essentially, now we have the repos and the policy compile in the Linux box. Okay. So here again, as we had seen before, this has generated also the binary of this policy. That is this other one. Okay. Again, this is a file of near 2 megabytes. There is an optional step that we could do to reduce that to 200 kilobytes, more or less, but we are not going to do it now. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Binaries to an S3 bucket. Okay, just to download it from my laptop. Okay, so I'm going to copy the files here in this S3 bucket. Okay, so let me do it with this policy first. Sorry. I think that okay. Okay, so this is one of them. Let me check if it's already there. Okay, so this is the one of the binaries, and let me repeat the same with the other policy. Okay, so I'm going to copy that to S3. Sorry. Okay, this is really fast. Let's check in S3 that the files are there. Okay, and I'm going to just download the file. Sorry, this one and the other one. If you have administrator permissions in your laptop, I think that maybe it's and you plan to write Rust policies. Maybe it's a good idea to install also locally in your laptop, the cargo, the Rust, I think that is something that is interesting, In my case, I didn't do it, because, well, I don't plan, to write more policies, in the next days, Okay. So these are the two files that I had just downloaded, okay? So this is the data masking binary policy. I'm going to write it here in the target folder. Okay, and the same with the other policy. Data target folder here. And this is the second binary. Okay, so now we have the binary and all the configuration files. Okay, so let's deploy these two policies in Exchange. Okay, so go to Exchange. To this business root, okay? And as you can see, in this business root, we only had the API that we had deployed previously. So I'm going to publish a new asset. Okay, we are going to start with this policy. Okay, and as I said before, there are two steps. First is to upload the definition and then the implementation. So this is for the definition. So for the definition, essentially, we need to upload the JSON files that describes which are the parameters of this policy. Okay, so I'm going to the same repo that I downloaded before. Okay, and this is the schema, and this is the metadata. That is a YAML file. Okay, and it's this one. Okay, these are essentially the same files. You recall, the schema and the definition that are in the repo that I have shared with you. Okay, so we are going to publish first the definition, and once that the definition is published, we can add an implementation. Okay, this definition is generic. I think that you can do the same, no matter if this is an Envoy Flex Gateway policy or it's a normal Java runtime policy. But here is the difference. For the implementation, what we are going to do now is to upload the Flex WebAssembly file that we had generated before. Okay, so I'm going to start with the metadata file that is also in the same folder. Okay, this one. And for the binary, I'm going to upload the WebAssembly file that I had generated in the Linux box, but that I had just copied to this target folder. Okay. Okay. So that's it. Okay, and we are going to repeat exactly the same steps, but with the other policy. So once that this custom policy is deployed to Exchange, it will go back, for example, to the API manager. Maybe this can take sometimes a couple of seconds, but the idea is that this new custom policy is going to appear in the list. So, for example, if we go to the Star Wars API and try to apply a new policy, okay, typically, this new custom policy is going to appear in this list. As I said, sometimes this takes some time. Okay, but this is it. Okay, and if you remember, this custom policy has just one parameter. That is the secret key. Anyway, let's do this later. Okay, I'm going to complete the upload of the second policy using Exchange. Okay, this is going to be very, very similar. Okay, And also here you can see, no, the custom policy that we had just uploaded. No? So let's do this for the data masking custom policy. Okay, let's say that this is a policy, and again, no, we just need to define which is the schema that describes the parameters. But this is in another repo, that is this one. Okay, and also the metadata, no. Okay, that is this other one. So this is the first step, that is just to upload the definition of the policy, okay? And as it's happened before, we need to also upload the WebAssembly binary file. No? So after some seconds, okay? Obviously, this policy is not going to be applicable, no, until you upload the binary file here, no? So let's do it. Again, I'm going to upload first the metadata. This is very important, guys. Let me open one of these files, because this is an error that I face these days, and it's like this. Open these YAML files, no, you will see that they are in Linux format. Okay, and however you try to convert that to Windows, probably you're going to get errors in Exchange. No? So it's very important to keep these 2 or 4 YAML files in Linux format. Okay. Okay. So the implementation, as I said, it has to be with the Linux inode line and the WebAssembly file that we had just compiled before. No? So I put this in this target folder, no? And this is also, no, the binary. Okay. Okay. So once that we do this, no, we will be able to apply to the Star Wars API these policies, no. So let me bring up the Docker container of the Flex Gateway. Okay. So is this one. And this is another interesting thing, no? Maybe, obviously, for those of you that are experts, no, in Docker and containers, this is very, very basic, no? But it's interesting, no, to know how to deal with the Docker commands, no? Because, for example, now I had closed, no, the Linux terminal, no, and I want to attach to the running Docker, no. So, for example, a couple of commands that are very interesting, no, is this one. Okay, that this is just to list which are the containers that are there. No, there is another instruction that is very interesting. No, that is to just list the logs, no, of that particular container. No, this one. Okay. Okay, and another one that is to attach to that particular container. Okay. Okay, I think that is there. Just let me do a couple of calls to the same API. I want to check that is up and running. Okay, okay, it's fine. I don't know if there is any log. Okay, no problem. So, okay, let's start, for example, no, playing with this custom policy that we had just deployed. No, so, for example, no. Probably all of you have already started testing this, no? But you can use, no, the normal out-of-the-box policies, no? For example, the rate limiting, no? So just play with a couple of policies, no? So you get an idea of how they are applied, no? So, okay. So this is the API, the policies. Now there is no policy already applied to this API, no? Okay, so let's start applying the out-of-the-box policies, no? So here you can see, no, that now we have 2 custom policies, no? That is the data masking, okay, and the authorization header, no? There is a couple of things that I would like to do in the repo, no? That is to change the category of this policy, no? Because I think that the custom out here is right, that is here, but I think that maybe the custom data masking, I think that is better if I move this policy, for example, to transformation, no? So that's something that I will do. I hope that we will do that later, no? Anyway, let's apply one of the normal out-of-the-box policies, okay? For example, the rate limit. So we are going to say that we want no more than, I don't know, 3 calls per 15 seconds, no? Something like that, okay? So let's apply this policy. Let me check the logs, okay? Okay. By the way, last week was terrible, no? Because there was a problem in the runtime manager, no? So the Flex gateway were not notified when there was a change in the policies, no? But it looks like this is working fine now. Okay, so for example, if we try now to make several calls to this API, no? In theory, no, when the policy is applied, no, it will block, no, following calls, no. This is being a bit slow. Just a second. Okay, no. Sorry. No, this is not what I was looking for. I was expecting this out of the box policy to intercept the calls and block them, but I think that is not. Okay, it's taking some time to be applied. So this is what I was expecting. After several calls, we are going to get we are going to be blocked. Okay, but this is just the normal policies. And now let's play with the policies that we had created for this Flex gateway. So for example, let's start with this one. So the idea is that we are going to block the calls unless there is a header that contains a specific value. Okay, so I'm going to write here something like test123. Okay, as this field is marked as sensitive, as you can see, it's going to be max by default. Okay. So let's go back to the logs, okay, to see if this policy is being applied. Okay, here you can see. And I think that I added some logs there. I don't remember what are there, in which I'm trying to check which is the value of the custom header. I don't know if it's there. Okay, no problem. Okay. Sorry, it's here. This is one of the logs that I have included. So we are writing here which is the secret header. Okay. And now if I try to repeat the same call, okay, as you can see, now it's blocking the call, and it's saying that it's unauthorized. Okay. There are also a couple of logs that I have put here. Okay, so you can take a look. Okay, so how to avoid this? Okay, well, we just need to send the custom header, with the field with the value that is expected. So for example, if I try to send this one, it will fail. Okay, but if I try to repeat the same with the right field, in theory it will work. Okay. So this is the first policy, Okay, and now we are going to see the second one, And for the second one, let me go to the information of a particular actor or chapter in the movie. For example, this one. Okay. So what we are going to do is to max sensitive data, Okay, so for example, we are going to say that it's not appropriate to know if someone is male, female, or whatever. So we are going to max that information. So how to do that? Let me remove these policies. Okay, just to simplify. So I'm going to remove the rate limit. Okay, this is getting applied. I'm going to remove this other one. Okay. Okay. And this is just going to be the last thing that I can show you, in this meetup. So we're going to apply now the data masking policy. Okay, that is this one. Okay. Okay. So here the configuration, as you remember, is the field that we want to max. Okay. So for example, if we don't like this API to say which is the gender of a person, then what we are going to do is to select that field. Okay, as you can see, this field is not sensitive, so it's not like the password before, so we can see the value. Okay, so let's apply this policy. Okay, it's applying in the gateway. Okay, and now we can repeat the same call that we did before. Okay, in this case, we don't need this header because, as you remember, I had disabled this policy. It's not there. Okay, and now let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, now we are no longer able to see which is the gender of this person. And if you go back to the logs, you can see here, let me show this because I think that this is something that you're going to use every day. So if we go to the source code of this API, of the data masking, policy, you will see that I have added some logs here. So for example, we are, the idea is that the first execution will be something like this. Okay, so let me check in the logs. So in the logs is this one. Okay, then it's going to print this other log. It's saying that it's going to read the body that is here. Okay, and then we are going to execute this function, that is the transformation. And the transformation essentially has a log saying that it's starting, that is this one. Okay, and then what it's doing is to read the payload in JSON, and it's going to check if there is a field, in this case, gender. So if the gender field is there, it will present this field, this trace, that is this one. Okay, and that's it. It's going to max the value, and it's going to generate again a JSON format. That's it. So yeah, so that's essentially we can do this with other people. For example, this one. I don't know. And by the way, if we try to invoke this policy, policy, with fields or with endpoints that are not returning the same that specific attribute, the policy will just not interfere, and it will not try to hide anything, because in this case this is the endpoint for headers, and the gender is not there. Okay, so that's it. Any questions?
Yes. That gender field was at root level, right? What if it is inside a nested object?
Yes, in that case, we will need to make the because this is just a simplistic version. It's just reading the field in the root value, but it's not recursively analyzing that. It's a very simplistic policy. But yeah, the idea will be to read, to use this, because this is a very interesting framework. I mean, this search JSON is, you can see it here. I think that the documentation, let me show you. Okay, so with this library, it's possible not only to parse and unparse JSON, but we can also navigate through the different attributes. No? So the idea will be to check, for example, no, write a loop, no, and analyze, no. For example, if something is an array, no, and then if it's an array, maybe the best idea, no, is to execute this recursively, no. Okay, and the same, no, if it's, for example, an object that contains another field, no. But yeah, definitely, no. In order to this policy, no, to become a real useful policy, no, we need to, no, to be able to analyze, no, the JSON object with any, no, depth. And another thing that maybe is interesting, no, for example, this one is very simplistic. No? We are just replacing the value with all these chapters, no, but maybe it will be good, no, to keep some of the original page values, no, in the here, no, in the output, no. In reality, I had put here some ideas, no, to further improvements, no. For example, this one, no, this is precisely, no, what you are saying, no. We need to improve this policy, no, to analyze nested attributes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any more questions?
I don't think we are good.
Okay,
Hi, Jos. I have one question. So
sure.
the policy is applied for specific resources, right? Uh, did we define that in the API policy configuration?
Yes, it's here.
Okay, I missed
Uh,
that part, so I thought.
yeah, it's, for example, if we go to this custom policy, there is a section here that is very interesting. That is this one. Okay,
Okay,
so but this is essentially the same that we can do with any normal policy. No, we can apply it to all the resources and methods, or we can identify specifically which are the, the resources that we want to analyze. Yeah.
okay. Oh, got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I encourage you, to learn Rust, because I think that, this is the future, gateway for MuleSoft. I think that, for any single Mule project, in which Flex Gateway is going to be used, obviously, the only way, to do interesting things, like transformation or integration with other systems, is by using, these policies, in this case using Rust. So this is another skill, that is going to be very important, for a MuleSoft developer, to learn. The problem with Rust is that it's a bit low level. For example, Box is very similar, to the old C++ malloc function. So here in the world of Rust, you need to take care, not only of stack memory, but also of heap memory. So maybe it's something that has that you need to invest some hours, to understand exactly how this programming language works. But the good thing is that it's very fast. Once that you learn how to program in Rust, the idea is that these policies are going to be executed very, very quickly.
Hello, Yos, Karthik here. From last 1.5 hour, I have a conclusion on what you said. I'll make a concluding statement. Tell me if I understood it correct or wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So in API Manager, we can apply a policy and we can also give an implementation URL. But problem with the API Manager is it can call only what is deployed in Runtime Manager. So if something is out of Runtime Manager, we need flexible gateway.
Yeah, I mean, when for example, in this, let me show you that part. Okay. So, for example, for this API, I think that is here. Okay. Yeah. So for a particular API, you need to define which is the backend, that implements the operation.
Yeah. But before flexible gateway, like the normal API Manager, cannot call backend which is out of runtime manager. Right? It should be always in runtime manager, a backend URL.
Uh,
Okay.
I I don't think so. This is not right. Okay, so like
Okay.
it's possible your backend URL can be anywhere basically. It can be non-MuleSoft also, and it can be MuleSoft also. It doesn't matter whether your backend URL is running on CloudUp or on our runtime fabric manager or on custom roasted Mule runtime. Okay, or it can be a non-MuleSoft URL also. Only the thing is that the URL must be accessible from your from where you are deploying the proxy basically. Let's consider if I'm deploying my proxy on the CloudUp, the backend URL must be like accessible from CloudUp. If I'm deploying my proxy on on-premise, the backend URL or implementation URL must be accessible. Okay,
Exactly.
or yeah. Now the question is that then why Flex Gateway come into picture? Correct. So that is the
Yes.
question, right? Yeah. The thing is that like let's consider if you are creating a proxy, right? In case of proxy, what happens? What happens? It will going to consume extra vCores and if you are deploying on the cloud hubs and all those things, it will going to consume the extra vCores also. Correct. That's a one thing. Secondly, like it doesn't using anything called envoy basically, right? Envoy basically. So with Flex Gateway, what they have done, they are using the envoy. Envoy is nothing, it's a CNCF project, and Envoy is the one of the fastest low latency and the high performance service in the world till now basically, right? So with Flex Gateway they are using that particular service, but the way of publishing the API, it's similar to proxy. Okay, like you have to provide the implementation URI and all those things, right? But here we are getting other advantage also if you see basically. So like you can deploy this particular Flex Gateway anywhere basically, but in case of proxy you always require a mule runtime, right? You will require a mule runtime for deploying the proxy, but with Flex Gateway you doesn't require the mule runtime, right? You can deploy the Flex Gateway on the Docker, you can deploy the Flex Gateway on Kubernetes as an ingress controller, you can deploy the Flex Gateway on the virtual machine as a Linux service or something like that. If you want to deploy the Flex Gateway on Windows service, you can install the Flex Gateway. You can install the Docker on the Windows machine and you can set up your Flex Gateway on that particular Docker, right? So that is one advantage. With proxy, you will always require the runtime basically. That you initially you made statement, right? Runtime. You
Yeah.
mentioned runtime manager. It's not runtime manager. He will be requiring the mule runtime for deploying your proxy basically. But in case of Flex Gateway, you doesn't require the mule runtime, right? Right. Apart from that, like Flex Gateway, you can set up at multiple places, right? So these are some advantage you are getting from the flexibility. Yours, if you want to add something, if I miss something, you can add that, right?
Yeah. No, no, it's like you said, no. I think that you can have a normal Java runtime proxy, no, uh, and it's very similar, no. You have to say which is the backend URL, no, and the front end URL is going to be, for example, the Cloud Hat, no, URL that is where the Java proxy is going to be deployed. Here, in this case, as the container is running in EC2, well, essentially, no, you have to provide, no, this URL, no? Okay, but it's very similar, no? I think that you have the two concepts, no? The URL of the, in this case, of the API gateway, and the URL of the backend. No?
Yeah. So perfect. Understood. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bafan.
Also, I can give one more clarification here. So let's consider like you don't require a runtime manager. Like you have all non-MuleSoft API, right? And if you are going with a proxy concept, in that case you have to purchase the runtime license also, right? But in case like if you have a non-MuleSoft API basically, and you don't want to go for runtime manager, right? In that case, you can simply can go for the Flex Gateway part only, right? So like you don't have to like buy extra runtime manager basically. You can simply say have a Flex Gateway, but if you want to use the proxy, as I mentioned, you will always require the runtime basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And one final question. So for this universal API management to work, we need one thing as flexible gateway. Anything else we need?
To do this work, no, I mean, essentially, it's just the Flash gateway, no,
Yeah.
this one, no, yeah.
So like let me add few things here. So basically universal API management is a concept which was recently introduced by MuleSoft, right? So basically in bigger organization, what happens, there are n number of application, and those application may be developed in n number of technology, right? So now like what happened, like for managing those APIs, you may require separate Flex gateway for each technology APIs basically, right? So MuleSoft has come up with some concept called universal API management. So basically, what benefits we are getting from universal API management? Like you don't want to have a multiple API management tool, correct? So like for governing, for engaging, or for discovering your API, it doesn't matter in which technology your API is written. Correct. So MuleSoft has developed a various, come up with a improve or come up with various product. Like there's just something called API governance also. There is something called Flex Gateway. They have improved API Manager. They have improved API Design Center. So with API governance, you can ensure that whatever open API specification or RAML you are writing, that is consistent across your organization, and that is a like compliant, and that is taking care of all your top 10 OAuth security. Then come a Flex Gateway, which yours has just explained everything about the Flex Gateway, and we already have a discussion. Yeah, like so basically, like what MuleSoft want, like you can see everything into a single glass of pane. Basically, you have a like single platform where you can see everything. Like doesn't matter where your API located, it's a technology agnostic, and doesn't matter on your API and what architecture your API is following. Is the answer your question, Karthik?
Yeah, perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes, you can go on.
No, no. I don't have anything to add to that question.
Yeah, so thanks yours, it was a very unique session, and like I know like a lot of people doesn't know about this Rust. It's a very unique session. Basically, I even don't know, like we can write a policy using that Rust technology basically, and this will be definitely helpful to us basically, like going forward. So when people will start using the Flex Gateway, then in that case, like if you want to write some custom policies, some security policies, this Rust is very useful basically. And thank you so much, this was a really a great session, and we have already seen few feedback from the people. The session is very crisp and clear basically. Thank you so much, yours.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose.
It is now you can hijack this session. Yeah.
Sure, Jackie, thank you. First of all, thanks, Jose. It was a very knowledgeable session.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
So I'll just stop recording and